This is season 1, episode 2 of The Last of Us. Uh, Infected in three, two, one, play. And before anybody of you assholes come for me in the comments, this is not a reaction. This is a commentary. If you want to watch the episode, go buy it or stream it. Not breaking copyright for you.
So you're still not a big fan of the prologue in the pilot. I like it because it's so short and it's so clever. It's such a unique way to start. Just this flashback with this talk show of like, oh, this is why
It's
fungus are dangerous and
I
this could
don't
happen.
like it, but I don't hate it. Like it's a good watch. I don't know why we had to do it again.
This is the one I'm more 50-50 on. Like, I don't think it's badly executed. I think these actors are wonderful. It's like a little short film.
The problem
This
is that it starts to add up. We're taking all this time away from the actual story. And so stuff in the back half starts to feel rushed because we've used so much of the time that we have to tell all these other stories.
Yeah, and I've just never had that criticism because all the important Joel and Ellie stuff is still there. I don't feel like much of it's getting replaced, and they add tons of it. There are so many little moments with Joel and Ellie in the show that aren't in the game that I think are wonderful additions that I
Yeah,
think more
we'll
than
see.
make up for it. Again, this prologue I think is well executed. I'm just not as sure if I need it because this is now the literal origin for the virus breaking out. And we do spend a lot of time here.
And we don't do this again, as far as I remember.
Not really. There are more flashbacks.
Yeah, no, flashbacks I don't mind. I'm just saying we don't do anymore, as far as I can remember, flashbacks to before the outbreak or,
Mhm. Which we got a lot of in the first episode. And like I said, I like this story. I like this professor brought in to study this thing, and then it's like, oh god, this is fucking bad. This to me feels like something you could have put out as like viral marketing as like a short film or something in the lead up to the show. This feels a bit more to me kind of standalone and disconnected from the other stuff going on.
Mhm.
Like we have our differences on how the Bill and Frank episode is handled, but like they're still set up in the first episode. Like these are characters that Joel knew. You know, they're still part of the story. This feels a bit more of an extra, maybe a necessary thing to me, even if I think it's well executed. This feels more handholdy to me in terms of explaining the cordyceps and how they work.
Yeah. No, this is the worst of the two, but if it were me, I'd just cut both of them. If you need some explanation, just have it be a line of dialogue somewhere.
Which we will get later that and then at that point it feels like just repeated exposition. And that's a dead body. One thing that I do like about this scene, though, is that this is not Patient Zero. We still don't know who Patient Zero is. Like, no, this is somebody who was bit and died, and they're like, well, that's weird. What's going on? There is still some really good body horror to the sequence. Like, it's pretty gross.
Not that you're patient zero.
Oh my god. This is a great gag when she opens the mouth and the tendrils come out, and you're like, ah, don't show me that.
I've seen this film before, and I didn't like the ending.
It's like, oh, we're fucked. This is bad.
No, 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 no! Wait, 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 wait! And part of the problem is this one is so much longer than the first one.
Yeah. No, the first one I think is just a great little mood setter and giving the audience a bit of context for what's going to happen. And one thing that is in the game that they talk a lot more about in the show is the food products. Like bread, wheat is where this infection got out and spread, and how so many people got infected at once. And one thing that I did like about that first episode that they play up, that's not in the game, is talking about them not having batter and stuff for making a birthday cake for Joel. All throughout that episode, if you're paying attention, Joel and Sarah keep unintentionally avoiding like these products like bread, which is why they don't get infected,
Okay,
which
my
is really
problem
cool.
with that is when you call that into attention, how long have they been not eating bread?
But this all that shit didn't get out though until like that week, that day, you know, because we see Joel and Sarah eating
Okay, but
eggs.
yeah. Okay, so you're telling me that the all of the infected wheat just happened to hit the market shelves on the same day.
Well, maybe not the same day, literally. I'm just saying
So
that they
how
got
long has
lucky.
Joel and Ellie Joel and Ellie, damn it. Joel and Sarah not been eating bread. That's why you don't need to call attention to these things because then I'm not thinking about it. The minute you called it out, I'm
It's
thinking,
fine.
how long have they
But
been going without bread
yeah, but
or
even
anything
the
with bread
show,
in it?
but like I said, like, but I mean, it hit like that within that week. Like my point is just they got lucky. And again, they don't draw a ton of attention to it. It's just something you either pick up on or you don't. Like, oh, they were eating eggs. She was offered cookies later, and that she declined. It's like they just got lucky. I mean, she wasn't because we saw how that day turned out. The one thing though that this sequence is hammering home is this professor who now knows what's happening. And again, we established this in the prologue of, oh yeah, there's gonna be no vaccine. Like we're fucked. And this is a great moment when this lady says, "Oh, we need to bomb the city, including me. Like we all need to fucking die if we're gonna prevent this from spreading." Which, of course, we know from the game and the show they did try and it didn't fucking work. But it's really
Stay the
dark.
course, we are all dead.
They do nail how heavy that choice is, where she's like, "Nope, we gotta bomb the city, myself included. It's the only way to stop this thing from spreading, and I'd like to see my family before I fucking die." Or she says, I'd like to go home.
Mhm.
Yeah, to be with her. So again, it's a great scene. I just don't know if the show needs it.
Because it doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of the episode.
It kind of does, since the episode's called, Infected. They are kind of the centerpiece of this episode, and they will talk about the bombings and shit later. So, like, I get why it's here. Just kind of whatever about it. But once again, this opening sequence is beautiful. And then, do you think they'll keep this opening credit sequence exactly the same in season 2, or do you think they'll change it up a bit?
I could see them keeping it because there's no like specific season one clips or anything. It's just infected. And like looking at Game of Thrones, which is the only other big HBO thing I know besides like the Penguin, that didn't really change its opening at all.
Well, they do add to it season to season. Like when we
So
visit new locations and stuff, they do add to it.
So I mean, that might add to it, but that opening isn't really location specific.
That yeah, sure. I'm not disagreeing. I do think. Are we gonna spoil the second game much, or do you want to not go down that road for people?
It's been 5 years. If you don't know what happens, okay. Possible spoilers for The Last of Us Part Two. It's been 5 years. If you don't know what happens, either wait, go play the game, wait for the show, or watch a YouTube video. I don't really care. But anyway,
Um, I was just gonna say that when the season 2 hits a certain point, like that silhouette we get at the end of that opening credit sequence of Joel and Ellie, I could see them removing Joel, and it's just Ellie.
no, no,
Just like
no,
twist the knife.
no. You don't say that. No, I could see that.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
spoilers. Joel dies.
oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
This set here is just gorgeous. It looks right out of the game. Just this building crumbling, filled with grass and nature, and the sunlight coming in. It's just such a wonderful set. And this is where the characters have that sit-down conversation about Ellie being bit and not being
No,
infected.
because we're gonna get a really cool Ellie moment here in a minute.
And I love that Joel has this fucking gun on her. Like, he's not ready to trust her yet. He's like, no, I will shoot you if I have to. And Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal are both Game of Thrones actors,
Yeah.
even though they never had screen time together on that show.
It's a good thing they finally got to be in a good show together.
Oh, that was mostly a good show.
Was it though?
Yeah, it was. But the one thing though that I wasn't sure about when Bella was cast was Bella being British. Like, I didn't know if Bella could do an American accent, and I think
I love
totally nails it.
the fact that we're in 2020. We were in 2023, and that was your big concern. Can a British person be American?
Not hey, I don't look. Benedict Cumberbatch is a great actor. American accents are not his forte.
He's fine in Doctor Strange.
I mean, he's good. It's still a shitty American accent. It's just nasally
on the flip side
and
of that,
indistinct.
on the flip side of that, Christian Bale, Andrew Garfield, Henry Cavill.
Oh, I'm not saying that they're like no. I'm just saying Bella's a young actor. I didn't know if Bella could do an American accent or not.
Tom Holland.
That was good. Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird at this point in time to be worried about that. We've had enough examples to prove that they can. Robert's like, damn those British people.
Why are they to you, John? They're people.
No.
They're individuals.
No. Wait.
But I was still surprised just how much Bella's like Ellie. I thought she just totally nailed the dialects and the inflections. But it was funny though, in the lead up, like Craig Mazin, Neil Druckmann, Ashley Johnson, everybody was like, yeah, Bella's great. Wonderful, perfect casting. And people online were still bitching, like, no, they should have cast this person. I know better. I didn't see the audition tapes, but fuck you. And people are still complaining, I guess.
No, people legitimately think they know better than the people who worked on the damn thing.
Which I'll never understand. Especially the casting, though. Like, whenever somebody's cast in one of these things, I may have concerns, though, but I'm always wait and see. I want that to be clear. Where I'm just like, hey, I wasn't in the room for the audition. I'll wait and see the thing and judge for myself.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not just with The Last of Us. Like, remember the Affleck casting for Batman?
That everyone's forgotten about. Because now the internet is fuck you. Make your Ben Affleck Batman movie,
Well,
you
and then we
cowards.
learned nothing because the
We
same
learned nothing.
goddamn thing happened when Pattinson was announced.
Yep.
It goes all the way
Fuck
back
you.
to fucking Keaton.
It
I don't know
does
if
go
you
all the way
know
back
about
to
this.
Keaton.
There was handwritten petitions for him to not be Batman.
Or fucking Heath Ledger as Joker. That made a lot of people angry who didn't see
Mm-hmm.
it. And then
And that
it's like,
movie is
oh,
arguably the Star Wars of our generation. Like that is.
no kidding. Yeah. Have you ever seen one person apologize and say, "Yeah, I take it back. I complained about Heath's casting, but he
No,
was
you know
great."
what I
I've
do see a
seen
lot
one.
of? That it's only as popular as it is because he died. And
Oh,
that
there
drives
is
me
that.
up the wall.
Oh, it's the worst. There it is. Like,
Yeah.
don't do that. He's gonna shoot you. Stop playing, girl. That was one of the moments in the trailer. I was like, "Yep, I'm sold." They nailed it. It's not in the game, but it's a great moment in the show.
No, these first two episodes I think are my favorite episodes.
They're great.
Have a
We
gun?
also,
No.
Jesus, sorry, like, oh my god, it's just very well executed, both writing and performance of a 14-year-old. It's like, Jesus, God. Birds are chirping. Looks nice outside. It's not that dangerous.
Sure, it's fine. There's nothing dangerous out there. Is this all set too, or is this green screen? Because there was a shot there for a second that looked like it might have been like the volume or something.
I don't think they had the volume, but I think it's a mix of both. I think this scene, what we're looking at, is they are on location somewhere with a that's dressed up to look all apocalypsy, and then all the background stuff CGI. I think that's what we're looking at, but it's really well integrated. Like here, you could tell, oh, we're on an actual street somewhere that's just had all this shit thrown on top of it to make it look bombed.
And this looks
Bombed.
exactly out of the game.
Looks perfect. The one thing that I do get more of from the game than the show is the nature side of it, the beautiful scenery. You get some of that in this episode, but I love like the red brick buildings with the green moss over them and the grass and all that stuff. Which you do good in the show. You just get a lot more of it in the game. But they really capture the vibe, and again the scale. Like some of these sets are just awesome. But this is the scene where we start hinting at Riley a bit more up front, where Tess asks about where Ellie got got bit, how she got bit, and then Tess asks, "Were you alone?" And Ellie's like, yeah." Like they really draw attention to that. That it's the first thing she kind of lies about or keeps to herself. Like you do get a bit of that sadness a little early on. Like, okay, there's something else going on with this kid. Which is what you want in a show. You want those little mysteries set up. That is a little reference to the game that I like when Ellie asks about like super infected throwing fungus spores at you, and they're like, yeah, yeah, no, that's not really how it works. That's a nice little nod. This is another one of my favorite sets. Like the ducks there is a great choice. Just this flooded hotel. The frog on the piano is great.
He's gonna play us a tune. He's the piano man.
And this is also one of the first things we do where we move stuff around, where this is a nod to the hotel Joel and Ellie are in a bit in the city where they meet Sam and Henry. So like that comes way later, and we get a
I think I
reference to that
recognize this
here.
place.
Yeah, we even get like a little bit that I think is from the game when Ellie rings the bell.
I love this moment.
That's great. We do set up Ellie not being able to swim here, which is similar to a moment in the game. The difference is it doesn't really get to pay off in the show, or at least not yet.
No,
Um,
they cut off all like
that's
all
something
of
I'm
the
kind of missing.
underwater sections.
We do,
I
which
need
is
a 30-minute section of Pedro Pascal trying to figure out where the hell the wooden pallet is and push Bella across the damn thing.
now that's authenticity.
I had to live through it. I need Pedro Pascal to have to do it too.
The problem that is where that logistical budget issue comes in is water is expensive as fuck
Which is
in TV shows and
hilarious.
movies. Yeah, but like just the sheer amount of gallons you need to fill up whole rooms and build a set piece around. It's like, yeah, that's all you get. It's like a pond. It's like this is a swimming pool of water that we're looking at, and that's all you get. It's fine.
If only they could have used some of the money from episode 3 to make a proper swimming section. Oh.
That's also probably the cheapest episode.
But you had to be. I'm sure Parks and Rec guy probably cost a pretty penny for a TV show. I know, I'm just being petty. Fuck off.
But I also think this was like the perfect episode for Neil Druckmann to direct for somebody who's never directed live action before. It's very close to the game. It's early on. It's just very simple, classic Ellie and Joel stuff. This isn't one of like the big, huge episodes. It's just like, yep, it's right out of the game. And it's just very comfortable and familiar. Having Craig direct the pilot was a really good idea because that just had to cover so much. Uh, Here though, we get a game reference. We get our first "Boost Me Up" scene where
There
Joel
only if you're
helps
gonna make
Ezra.
this truly authentic, there only needs to be about 700 more.
that that was one of the moments when I first watched this where I pointed at the screen like Leonardo DiCaprio. I was like, "Hey, I see what we're
I
doing."
know what that is.
And this is what I was talking about earlier with their dynamics being changed just a little bit, where we get much quicker to a point of Joel trying to open up and say like, "Okay, what's with the knife? What's your deal?" And then Ellie's being a bit more of an asshole. But again, they play it really well. It's like, where'd you learn how to do that? The circus. Like their bickering here is really good.
This is how I talk to kids. Yeah, you know where Detroit is, right? They still teach that.
But one thing that Craig Mazin talked about in some of the interviews, like an idea of Ellie that he really latched onto and kind of brought more attention to in the show, is Ellie having a violent heart. Like that she's always had this darkness within her that's just not fully come out yet. Which is why one of the questions she asks here is about killing infected. Because we know or will know later that like she has killed one and it wasn't exactly a great experience. But that's still the stuff that's on her mind, you know? But yeah, this is an addition I think is really cool. All these it's so gross and weird. These infected just sunbathing, which makes sense. You know, it's fungus. Like
Sleeping.
they like the sun. And again, it's interesting because they're not exactly a hive mind, but we do lean into this idea of them all being connected. You know, there's a little bit of. Do you think it's fair to say that at least in the show, there's kind of an I Am Legend influence on the take, where it's like, yeah, these are just like a new species that we just don't understand yet. That's been created out of this. They're not just mindless monsters.
No, because we established that their only purpose is to spread the virus. They don't
Yeah, it's
have
not the
any
same
kind of
thing.
higher thought. Like the I Am Legend sucks at showing this, but in the book, they are intelligent creatures. They can communicate
Mhm.
and talk. They have wants, needs. That's how they're like a new species. This is just infected people.
Mhm. And before somebody corrects me, I know they're not literally sunbathing. They're all huddled up in the shadows, and then when the sun hits them, they're like, ah.
Which is also weird. Why are they night creatures?
Well, they generally prefer the darkness. They like the cold,
You're
even
talking
in the
about the
games.
Last of Us Infected, right?
Yeah.
But there's so many levels where you're just fighting them out in broad daylight. They don't give a
Oh yeah, they
shit.
are. No, no, no. They're not like vampires. You know, they're not like allergic. They're just like, eh.
But that's what I'm
Like
saying.
we
In the
still see
game, they
them in the
don't
daylight.
care.
No, but they do thrive in the darkness. Like they do thrive in the shadows and where it's cold. Like you said, like that's where all the spores shit is in the enclosed environments.
That's fair.
And like I said, I do like this. That's great.
I have a
Here
spare
the
hand. Congratulations.
I do like the idea of the tendrils a lot. This connected thing, like, oh, don't step on one because that might
Don't
alert.
read from the book.
Yeah, like it's a really cool scenario they set up. It just only really plays into like one more episode.
Yeah, that's my issue.
Um,
If you're gonna change the lore, have a reason for it. Not
yeah, they
a
did.
not a behind the scenes reason. A we're doing something with this. Or else you change for the sake of change.
Like I said, they do when we get to episode 5 is kind of our big payoff for that. But I hope that season 2 does more stuff with that because it was a really cool idea. I agree that we could have had again. It's not that stuff's rushed. I just agree that we could have had more infected stuff in the back half.
We
Uh,
could have had a lot more.
that criticism is fair,
Robert,
but
he's
I'm
dead.
very happy with what we got. They're all dead.
They stayed the course.
And Pedro really nails the scene where he's like, no, 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 you don't have to be quiet. We have to be silent. They do a really good job building up the clickers here.
This was another big meme that I saw everywhere with him going, "We have to be silent."
Yeah.
The only clicker we get for a few episodes.
Yeah, this is the main episode that really spotlights the clickers. We get them in
And I think I'm more
mainly just
annoyed
one
because
more.
they are perfect in this episode.
They're amazing. Like so, I could have used a couple more.
I do wonder because The Last of Us Part Two is much more action oriented. If like
Mm,
they will up the budget to get more action, that's why they cut the episode number.
probably, and just based on the trailers, it looks like they are going pretty big.
And I've only watched that first trailer. Like I'm trying to go in as blind as possible. Although I may have to watch them if we're going to do a speculation video.
But and once again, the set is awesome. It's really cool that we get the museum set piece from the game. This was, I think, our first look at the show. Like the first photograph we saw of Pedro and Bella in costume was like in a scene coming up with a clicker in the background, where it's like, oh, we're doing the museum sequence. Cool. The look on Bella's face there is fucking amazing when she steps on that thing like,
It's
meh.
so good.
Ugh, all the corpses. But also in terms of just budget, despite their limitations, this still looks so much fucking better than it would have 10 years prior on TV. Like Game of Thrones really changed the game in terms of the amount of money we could put into TV shows because 2013 was a very different
You will
landscape.
know, unless I'm forgetting something, you will not hear me complaining about how anything looks.
Mhm. And even if we agree that it wouldn't have worked, it makes sense why in 2013, 2014 we were talking about this as a movie, not a show.
No, in that
Because that
time, if you announced a show, I would have been like, "Fuck."
and Walking Dead, I think was really impressive what AMC did, but that's still you can see where they cut corners and still isn't
The
on the
first
scale of that
season is
game.
impressive. Everything after that,
I'd say it's up and down. I
sometimes.
still think the prison stuff's pretty cool. I think that set's great. And even then, you go back to the Walking Dead pilot, which is great. There is some CGI there that is not held up. There is some rough green screening.
I
Yeah,
watched that because I was like, I'm gonna go through the show. I got to season one. I was like, I'll go watch something else.
And I think we just talked over it, but this is a bit they actually went back and added later, where Joel like signals to Ellie saying they can't see but they can hear. Uh,
See,
originally
look at
that
that
that was
clicker. It's
not.
perfect.
It looks amazing. The performers, the makeup, so good, and they make these things fucking tough.
Yeah. 0 out of 10. Where's the sneaking around behind them to shiv them in the neck?
Yeah, Neil Druckmann I think did a great job directing this. It's very
Good.
tense. That bit's great when he like knocks the bust over to smash the glass, to distract him with the sound. He got all those bits. Not enough bottle throwing. Could have used more bottle throwing.
Yeah, where's the Molotov?
And that is the trade-off going from game to show when you do make these things a lot tougher. Is they are more scary and more dangerous, but that is why it also makes sense to scale back some of those set pieces and action, just because it's like, yeah, in the context of the show, you can't just be shivving 200 of these. Like, they establish early on how fucking dangerous they are and why we just avoid them. Again, it works for the game, but this take works for the show. Yeah, this shot of Joel and Ellie hiding behind this thing with the clicker in the background, that was like our first look, and I was like, okay, this might be something. But a fun fact about the clickers that I always like to mention is that Paul Dini, creator of Harley Quinn, his wife Misty Lee, magician, voice actress, everything, voices, invented the clicker voice for the game, and they got her back for the show to do the clicker sound effects, which is pretty cool.
Awesome.
The only other trade off that I do kind of miss with Tess compared to the game version is I love how much of a badass she is in the game, and we see her kill a lot of fucking people. You don't really get that on the show, which is kind of a bummer, but it's fine. I also love this gag with Ellie though, where this is in the show. This is when Joel finally accepts and sees that she's not infected. Is Ellie just getting bitten again, and she's like, "Oh fuck, that sucks," and isn't at all traumatized. It's just like, "Oh, that's annoying." And then we get this scene, which is right out of the game, and like, oh god, that shot's so good. And I really like this tender moment between Joel and Tess
Mm.
because she knows she's gonna die.
Too, because we're gonna have that awkward, really weird kiss with the infected later. But why that and the bite? Pick one. I don't need both.
We'll
But that
talk about
just
it when we
seemed
get
really,
there.
really inconvenient way to spread that. Or not the tendrils, but like the little tentacle things.
Mhm. That's because they're connected.
In the circle of life.
Yeah,
Oh my
you can't
god.
deny that view.
Can't.
It's the building from the game.
It is. That's a shot from the game.
The change. I'll go ahead and say this: the way Tess goes out, that whole kiss scene, really didn't work for me on first viewing. I did not like it, and I'll get in my
Word.
reasons why. It felt awkward and shock value for the sake of shock value. I've come around on it a little now that I have more context for what they were going for. I still don't love that choice. The change that I do like, because the episode's called Infected, and they're kind of they're all over this episode. It's what this episode really centers around, is having her take herself out and sacrificing herself against infected and not federal soldiers who are chasing them. That's a change I really like.
I mean,
And again, this
I'm
stuff is
indifferent
gorgeous.
on it being infected versus Fedra. It's just the kiss is weird.
Yeah, that choice I didn't love, but again, it's a thing. But I also don't think the other thing is change for the sake of change. It's you don't question it in the game, but it's like, yeah, why is Fedra going out in the open chasing these people? Like, why do they care? Like,
Well,
fuck
I
them, they're gonna
always
die.
well, I always read that they weren't there for them. They were there for the Fireflies. Because this is a known Firefly base.
Hmm. But again, like, why do they care if they're not in the quarantine zone?
I mean, okay, I'm gonna break this down for you. You're
It
you're
seems like an unnecessary waste of
okay. Hold.
resources.
Okay, but I mean to be fair, part of the commentary in that game is that Fedra wastes a lot of resources that they don't need to be wasting. But anyway,
That's true.
Robert, you are Fedra. You have a let's say a tip of a Firefly hideout. You find people in this hideout. You think they are
Way out
Fedra.
in the middle of an infected city.
Okay.
I'm not
Well,
saying it
did you think
bothers me. I just
Fedra
think
or that the Fireflies only existed in settlements?
no.
Well, why wouldn't they
But why
hunt
would
down?
Fedra give a fuck?
Because Hydra are criminal most wanted number one.
Fireflies, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. No, Firefly,
You said
like it
Hydra.
makes it. God damn it. The game makes
No,
it
it's
clear
fine.
that
Fine.
Fedra is trying to wipe out the Fireflies altogether.
Mm.
So, yes, they're going to check out if they have a report that there is a base in this abandoned museum.
I still think it's fine. I think this change works.
I don't hate this change. I just think it's weird that you don't that you're complaining that Fedra's doing its job. You fucking bastard.
Then again, this scene is right out of the game. Again, she really nails this whole speech. That's a good line that I don't think is in the game when Joel says we need to go home, and she says that's not my home. It's great.
No, this is a different speech. Um,
I mean, it's mostly the same. Like our luck had to run out sooner or later. She's infected.
but Joel isn't in this game more like I want to go home. It's more like I just don't want to do this.
Right. This is a bit that Pedro improvised that Troy Baker loved and then was jealous that he didn't think of. Where when it's insinuated that Tess is infected, Joel has this moment where he takes a step back, where it's like it's very mean, like unintentionally so. It's just like, hold up. Like he still has that self preservation that kind of trumps everything. I also like though that they play up, and this is gonna matter later. They do play up that she is changing. She's not just, oh, I'm bit, I'm gonna die, that sucks. It's like, no, in the space of a few hours, like she's already changing. Like she's shaking, she's twitching, like she's not fully, like she can feel that she's turning. And I think that's a great addition. There we get it. That's the big payoff.
Him shooting that thing in the head.
Well, and he killed it, and now it's signaling the other ones.
Oh, okay.
So that horde we saw
I'm
earlier,
so glad we rewrote the entire lore for one scene.
they didn't rewrite the entire
However,
lore. It's the same thing.
however, I will say I think there's something interesting you could do with the infection presenting differently in different regions because we kind of get that with the shamblers. Like I
Yeah.
always read that that's exclusively in that area because of the climate. So like saying
Mm-hmm.
spores are region specific could be cool.
Yeah. I'm open
I
to it.
need a little bit more than one scene to justify completely changing how that works.
Like I said, they got rid of the spores, but it's still like they're not that different. The infection primarily comes through the bites, and they turn into clickers and all that.
Then what the fuck is the kiss?
Well, again, it's spreading. Oh, so the idea of the kiss is the reason why the infected though are so aggressive and violent is because typically the people are screaming and running away. That's why it's so violent. When that happens, she's just standing there and she's already turning. She's already infected. Like she's becoming one of them. That's why that happens.
But
The
what is it
clicker,
doing?
well, they're spreading it. They're connected. They're joining.
So it's infecting an already infected woman.
No, but we saw them mingling together. That earlier. That's what's going on. Or you could say it's escalating it because she's not
Or
initially
keep
resisting
it simple. Bit, turn. That's all you need.
it. But again, I like the ticking clock element here with this giant horde coming after them and her going to blow herself up and all of them. All that's great. I think
Except she's letting most of
aside
them go.
because the lighter won't light because her hand's shaking.
I'm joking. Calm down.
You've been nitpicking so much.
I
No,
can
I
like
think she
this
really
show,
says cool.
but still think they overcomplicate some things.
No, well, it's an interesting moment though, just because you would never see the scenario in the game because you're gonna fight them, and again, it's the idea is that she's not putting up a fight. Just gross. The idea of it I like though is that she is becoming one of them and has that moment of potentially giving in, and then she snaps out of it, lights it, blows them all up. I do think that's a great sacrifice for her. The part of the kiss that I didn't like was it just felt gross and like shock value for the sake of shock value.
Weird.
And it on first viewing, I didn't like that we had Tessa's final moments being sexually assaulted. Like that's how it played to me, and I didn't like that at all. Again, I've come around on it a little, but I still don't love that specific choice.
No,
But I
it's
get what they're going for.
dumb.
But like I said, the infected, they're not just evil monsters. Like they are this new organism.
I mean, I can say the same thing about the game version. They don't go around kissing people.
Yeah, because people typically fight back and resist. That's all it is. That's why they're so
Okay,
violent.
but if that is the only difference, then why didn't they do that to what's his name in the game, Henry or Sam? I forget which.
I mean, he was fighting back.
But they also had him pinned down to the ground where he couldn't fight back.
Yeah, but it bit his leg.
Okay, so why didn't it do the tendril thing to his leg? Still would get in the body.
I mean, it did though. I think you're just hung up on this.
Because it's an unnecessary addition to the story. All you need is it bites them, they become one of them. You don't need anything else. Hello, Jareth.
Hi, Jareth. How's it going?
We're going to take a quick 5-minute break, and then we will get into the great episode 3 debate. Because Robert is wrong.